What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We have for you today a castover, a 1 versus 1 between TheShambler and IskatuMesk. Today we even have APM and a new witness UI to boot. Isn't that lovely? So, there has been a couple of changes to CMBW, and one of those, for example, was being able to see for the ion cannon had its attack range or its attack cooldown nerfed, so that it takes a little bit longer to fire. I actually wanted to double it, which sounds crazy. I know, Jay Wilson, but I was thinking, oh, you know what I'll do is I'll try to do some crazy shit. However, it's not actually possible to double it. It was at 7 seconds, and I wanted to go to 14, but it caps out at a little bit above 10, I believe. Something in that range, 10, 11. So I gave it 10 instead. I think that was the whole number that I could reach, instead of it being like 10.547 or whatever the fuck. So yeah, a bit silly. Now we do have Mesk going for a gateway up here, which is interesting because it might be like a hidden thing. This map is called Frozen Steps, because every map that TheShambler makes is related to steps for some reason. Help me step, I'm stuck is apparently his raison d'etre. So we do, of course, have a bunch of mineral fields. We have the geyser and the ridge. It's kind of fairly straightforward. I say a bunch, but actually there's only 10 or 9 nodes, and one of them is fucking 2, by the way. So yeah, that's a bit awkward. And he's going to go for a treasury, which is really, I think it can be quite useful, because this is one of the changes we haven't actually seen for a while in action. But treasuries obviously do have that benefit of now being unlocked by default. And there are 200 minerals, and you can do the build for them. I was thinking maybe oh, by the way, they have Terran structure armor, but the icon isn't wrong. So that's really weird, because obviously if you click on, like, I don't know, I can't really click on a building right now, but you click on like this, it's like the correct icon and stuff. So I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, obviously the treasury is here. It's doing stuff. It's going to be doing stuff shortly. It can build a quarry to do the mason production or whatever. But, you know, I guess like in this world, you can just immediately transfer workers and get a bit of a benefit. And that's exactly what TheShambler seems to be interested in doing here. He's got 4 workers for himself on that base almost immediately when those 3 show up. And I'm not sure if he's going to take the... Yeah, it looks like he took the one that was just built and sent it over there. So he has scouted that Mesk does have a gateway. Is going to go for a warden on the high ground, which is not a bad idea. I'm not sure what his scribe would have seen. In fact, I don't know where his scribe went. I think he went off to the right for whatever reason. Maybe he thought this was an XY mirrored map instead of a Y mirrored map. This is a very, very strange map, very awkward map, I think. Not very great pathways in a lot of cases. And the cases where there are pathways that are wide enough for army movement, they're also straight up and down. So the scribe will reveal enough Mavericks to suspect a second barracks. So maybe that will be something that Mesk internalizes. He goes for a second warden, playing very defensively, but obviously going to have an economic deficit thanks to the fast expansion move by TheShambler. But again, he's kind of stretched somewhat thin, because he obviously has no quarry here. So that's its own sort of thing. And yeah, you can see he's like probably not feeling super safe on his own map, because his main can be flanked like this. It's actually very easy to get there because the map is so big. You can't really account for all the units that might be in a certain spot, right? So I don't know. It definitely feels like a map that is really quite difficult to defend from an aggressive opener player, despite the fact that obviously, like, well, I guess it's not really... If you can scout their attack, if you can kind of figure out that they're doing stuff, that's one thing, right? But if you don't know where they are, then, like, you need defenses in all accounts, right? And so that's exactly what TheShambler is going to do here, as he sets up the quarry on the treasury. And stuck. Don't worry, you have liftoff. Honk. Dude, I can't wait for every structure to have feet for Terrans. No feet for anybody else, but... Another watchdog going on. Yeah, not really sure what to expect. He only saw the gateway. There will actually be a Stargate after this Nexus goes down, so that's something. I guess the watchdogs will indeed be set up. I keep trying to remember to tell myself, hey, what we should do is obviously, like, try and make the Panoptis a little bit easier to use, because it's a little bit awkward right now. But, of course, I keep forgetting to do that, so... A couple more pylons going down for more map control. I don't know when we're going to pull the trigger, or if we're going to pull the trigger on the idea that I had, but obviously it was to make it so that Protoss structures have 50% operating efficiency, so they attack 50% slower, they build 50% slower, etc., without the pylon. That doesn't mean that they warp in 50% slower, but like if they're training a unit or something, right? Is what I should have said. So that's its own thing without the pylon, but you can still warp them in. I think that is probably good. It means that like we could increase the cost of the pylon. It would still be kind of perfunctory because you wouldn't want lower efficiency, but it would mean that you wouldn't be restricted by the pylon's initial cost and time before you could start building stuff, right? So I think that would be useful. Definitely seeing some very low APM amounts over here. Don't know what's going on there. And there is a Panoptus in the training queue. Now, there's bunkers at the wazoo over here. You got 3 bunkers and 2 watchdogs. So there's definitely been some defensive play going on here. And there is indeed the quarry, which is in desperate need of a revision graphically. We do have a capped geyser for the Shambler on both of his bases, actually. So double cap. Pretty good. And just a warden coming down over here. Very minimal harvesting. You can actually see Mesk hasn't really caught up to the meta here of the series of like, hey, you should transfer your worker thing, because he's got the same amount of workers as the Shambler, but most of them are on his main instead of down here. So he's going to go cap, sending out his first Panoptus. You can see that maybe the rendering of the engine graphic doesn't agree with this tile set palette, so we should probably take a look at that at some point. It's glad that I caught that, because otherwise I probably never would have known. And the Mason scouting the Stargate means that he's probably going to be somewhat afraid of an air flyby of the Shambler. First Panoptus already almost there. Zealot moving around. May not have been spotted by the reservoir. I don't think it has a crazy amount of vision range. He's just sort of confirming like where the bases might be or where the Shambler might be. This is obviously an island in the top left. So I say obviously, but you guys probably never seen this map before, so probably good for me to actually talk about some of that stuff. In fact, Mesk doesn't even know that this is an island, so he'll find out now. At the same time, he is going to successfully kill off probably 2 Masons. No, he's actually going to fall away before he kills the second one. That's another thing that changed recently, is that workers now have plus 15 HP. So Masons are sitting at 75, which is crazy. Scribes at 45, and Droliths at 60. So obviously that means that Terrans are still quite effective. I was actually thinking maybe the Mason should only have 70 instead of 75. And the reason being, as the Atlas goes down here, is that obviously they become like the higher you, it's not like HP scales linearly in every case, or like rather when you increase HP, even if you increase it linearly, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're increasing it like that it's going to yield an increase in effectiveness linearly. Like at some point, like you might see that having 75 HP versus 70 makes it a much bigger difference for stuff like, you know, early game harassment or whatever, right? It wouldn't have made a difference in this particular case, but, you know, a couple of Panoptuses on the way. Zealot confirming. This used to be where you started, by the way. You started in the top right and then the bottom right. And, yeah. I mean, there's not really that many minerals on this entire map. Like, this base has 5 mineral nodes. I think this map is just not really super well suited for this sort of thing. Oh, will the Zealot spot this? I don't think so. Even if he did... Oh, well, it doesn't matter. The Panoptuses are here. So, let's see if he can get the cancel off. Okay, he does get the cancel off. That was kind of close. In fact, if they didn't go for the Mason first, I wonder if he even would have been able to get the cancel off with the reaction speed that he demonstrated. Meanie! Don't worry. Meska's doing the same exact thing. Although he... Well, there's the sound I made. He does indeed have a 4th base going up as well. So I didn't even catch this initially. I caught this one going down, but the other one finished first. So that will be his 4th. Not really a crazy number of units, right? He's really only got the 1 Zealot. He's got the Dragoon moving around here. And yeah, this Zealot just sort of peacekeeping. Now, there's a bit of a force, you know, doing some stuff. I do think that the Panoptuses could absolutely mop the floor with these guys if they were to do some sort of hit and run tactic and, you know, benefit from the shields. But if they're... This is sort of like ZVT in vanilla, where you have all of this bio ball. You really want to be careful about this because, you know, you could get owned. Oh, that was a nice little pirouette there. So he snipes a single Maverick. He does some damage to another one. He could definitely... Yeah, this is exactly what he needs to be doing. He's obviously doing some interesting moves by... I don't know. Yeah, true. Was that the low HP one at least? Yeah, I think it was. I think it was just fucking weakling executed. Yeah, all right. This is, you know, this is good. Thinning the herd. All you have to do here is like, you know, poke them out so that when they inevitably attack you, you can hold off. But he's floating a lot of minerals. I guess this might be too much for his APM or something. I don't know what's going on. Spin, indeed. There's definitely been some dynamic moves going on. Idling IDK. Why they not work? Well, I'm guessing he's probably hitting the wrong key. He has switched over to grid hotkeys. If you're supposed to use patrol when you do that kind of micro move, but he's probably hitting like stop or hold position or something, which, maybe sometimes is a little bit better too. But they're going to be floating off to the right here. Another one scouting ahead. Does see that there's a thing happening there. There you go. Fuck that guy. Yeah. Fuck that guy too. Ooh. Dude, he's getting shot. Yeah, at this point, scout, I don't know about leading with the low HP one, and I also don't know about stacking them up versus the Cyprians. Does it manage to escape? And a couple of Wardens coming down here, as well as a landlocked Drakodin who can never escape, most likely, unless I was more generous than I thought I would be. Now here come the 4 Mavericks over here, revealing the 4th base, which is not actually operational here. A lot more workers than you actually need for what the Shambler has right now, I think. But he's going to slowly start moving stuff around. He does have a Valkyrie. Now, I was seeing the discussion after this game. I think it was after this game, because it seems to jive with what I'm seeing here. Which was that once Valkyries show up, Mesk felt like there's nothing in the Protoss arsenal that can deal with them. I still feel like that's not necessarily true, but they are definitely more of an air superiority fighter, broadly speaking, than they used to be. So maybe it makes sense. I feel like, you could probably pop out a LAN effect to disable them, or like force them to split up and like lose DPS by moving around. So that's definitely something that you could do. He still is not interested in using this. Oh, he's just remembered. All right, so yeah, definitely like one of the biggest problems right now with the current game, as we get to see and enjoy a couple of units just getting sniped. Yeah, this is definitely Shambler's kill pressure completely alleviating. I mean, it wasn't really kill pressure, but it could have put him behind, put his enemy behind or whatever. Interesting, he's still going for the treasuries instead of the command centers. Obviously, treasury builds a little bit faster, but I'm not so sure it's actually more cost efficient because you then have to add the quarry, which obviously takes up build space, a little bit of gas. It's only 25 gas and stuff like that. Whereas, I don't know. It seems a little bit silly to overly focus on those, but maybe those could be the minor decisions that make a big deal. Now, the Valkyries are going to be coming out here. There's 3 of them. That's 3. This one is not moving just yet. And we do have a crawl coming down here on the left side. A single Maverick still sitting here. I guess more of them died somewhere. Now, we do have an embassy and a crucible to increase the production speed of the single Stargate, as well as capped geysers over onto the right side. And another base going down over here. This is going to probably be a very inefficient harvest path for this mineral node and that Vespine Ridge. And I think he's actually just... he has to cancel this. These 2 are inaccessible now. Maybe this one is not, but this one is definitely inaccessible. It's always a bit weird, though. You look at this and you think, oh, there's so much space over here. But no, there's not. The sprite just isn't centered relative to its collision, so... that's something that you just get owned by. Only 2 Wardens here, so this will definitely fall if it is not careful. What's the response time is the question. And where are the Panoptises anyway? They're all the way on the other side of the map. So yes, indeed, this base will indeed fall. There's actually a 3rd Warden, okay. I wasn't expecting that one. But of course the Cyprians are more than enough here. We do have a single Drakodin. It's causing some mishappiness with the micro over here. Another Maverick going to go down shortly if... no, never mind. He's not gonna stick with it. Panoptises are almost here. Of course, there's all the Madcaps on this side, so... they aren't attack moving, so... Oh, he's actually going to turn around and go for this. This isn't too bad. I mean, he's microing a unit that's not meant to be microed, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But, that's not a bad fight, because if you take out all the Madcaps, then he has no pressure on the right side, because he's only got Achmeds, and, Achmed's kind of neat, but he's not going to... He's not going to turn too many heads, I don't think. However, losing that base isn't too terrible for Mesk, assuming he was... I mean, I don't think he was able to save all the scribes. Well, as I say that, of course. He's tasked them onto the mineral node on the island, so... Yeah, fuck them! Oh, shit. Who knows what's going on. Definitely getting bamboozled. Ironically enough, Auroras would be pretty good, because they would tank the shots, they would deal damage to ground units upon their death, and they would just hit scan attack, so you could actually go dart back and forth a little bit easier, I think, which is pretty neat. Like, you don't have to wait as long. Do have a couple Grand Libraries coming down here to finally spend some of Mesk's money because he was up towards 2K earlier, maybe past it. Another starport, in fact, the 3rd starport. Yeah, you can tell that like this map doesn't really give you a lot of build space, right? Like the mains are very small and compressed. But yeah, I can't wait to see screen positions added to this whole thing because I am really wondering what some of these players are looking at sometimes. And unless you catch them selecting units, it might be a little bit challenging to confirm that. But we do have a bio squad coming down here. Confirm the Grand Libraries in the right side base, maybe, unless they... No, they're just going to move down over in this location. Oh, this Maverick scouted and found this base, which obviously just reminded Mesk that it was even something that existed, because he wasn't really harvesting from it looks like. So he's kept the Aquifer, at the very least. He's kept the Geyser, rather. So there is that, and now the Bio Squad number 2 is going to go ahead and join, with number 3 coming down here, marching, as well as some Gorgons and Valkyries. So, yeah, Shambler is on top of his spending a little bit better. Oh, this Zealot's still scoping this area out. But, yeah, the map is very large, and it does definitely make it so that it's a little bit harder to figure out what's going on where and all this other stuff. So now the Panoptists are going to leave, which is maybe the worst time possible. Although they might not reveal this area, so these Wardens will finish in the middle of the fight, potentially. And the Panoptists are already on their way back. We can see them on the minimap. Ahmed taking the front lines and burning down the Wardens. You can't imprison Ahmed. Apparently they have vision up there. I'm sure that's puzzling mess. But you know what? Only one of the Wardens died. Ah. There we go. This Warden just about to finish. And this attack force will be cleaned up. And it only cost them a couple of Wardens, a couple of Scribes, and a couple of Panoptists. As well as this Warden over here that never got finished. It's alright. He can immediately rebuild. And, man, this pains me. The squad, once again, making sure that there's nothing over there. A Solarian as the first choice instead of Empyreans. Now, Meska's been a little bit mishappy with Empyreans because he's not felt that they're super good currently, since he played on a version where they were much more oppressive. Now we're seeing him switch over to Solarians, which are pretty good, but you're dealing with Bio and Madcaps and like a lot of instant hit attacks, which are kind of the bane of the Steward. And the Solarians obviously need the Stewards to stay alive. So really what he should probably be doing here is using this gateway, even just to get a couple of Zealots out or something. Like, you don't need to spend gas with it, because I know gas is obviously at a premium. He is going to get some Atriuses, and this is before he's even seen the air units, so switching over to a little bit more of a ground-oriented army. Ahmed, once again, braving the front, and some Amaranths coming down to, again, buy time. Again, imagine if this was with, like, 6 Zealots or something. This squad would feel a lot less spooky. But it is indeed going to abuse the low APM of the Shambler. And another Solarian joins the fight, having just warped in. I need to improve the walk cycle again, I think. I think that much is made clear by there. They move a little bit too fast, just like everything else. And yeah, you can see here the Gorgons slowing the Solarian down a little bit here. Or maybe not. I can't tell when it works and when it doesn't. It seems bugged. Maybe because of a flingy change or something. Another air squad over there to the right. I'm not sure what they're scouting out for. Maybe the Panoptists, which... maybe they died? Oh no, the Panoptists are over here denying that base. Well, there's something going on, at least. I don't know if he built anything from this embassy. I think he built it, and maybe he built some Scribes or something. Here come the Atriuses. Some land effects out as well. A Solarian nearly finished, and these Gorgons are all going to get stomped on by the crabs. Yeah, land effects out, and it's dead already. But yeah, now at this point, obviously the Valkyries can't be very useful, and those Gorgons will survive with just a little bit. Not a crazy amount of Scribes. I only see 1 corpse over here, so didn't get too much econ damage down, but did kill the embassy, which obviously denies the witness. And yeah, it looks like this force, it wasn't even able to finish off the command center in the meantime. So good response there from the Shambler, who is now going to maybe go ahead and drop a Fountainhead. That's going to delay his tier up, but he might not want to jump straight up to tier 3. Only a single Warden able to actually do too much damage here. I'm not sure why he would fly forward, because there's more Wardens. But you know what? I don't make the decisions. Could be a little bit better micro from the static defense by Mesk. And maybe also, I don't know what's going on, but he does have a Cantavis. So he can't actually fit up there because of his base layout. And also because of this map. Oh, wait. No, he can. He figured it out. Oh, you missed. You missed again because it's bugged. Is he going to try again? Yeah! All right, he figured it out, boys. Yeah, I don't know why on the right, like the right half of it doesn't always... maybe it's not as aggressive as half of the graphic, but I'm pretty sure you have to always overcompensate and move it to the left. It's not like it's offset. It's just the right half doesn't exist for damage for some reason. No idea why. Couldn't tell you. Some serious stupid bug. I'll tell you that much. I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't seen like frozen workers. Maybe there have been them and I haven't noticed. Now the Fountainhead is complete. This will unlock Tinker's Tower and Munitions Bay and Commandments. We'll see if we see any of those, but it's just a fleet of Gorgons coming out. I think Gorgons are still 25 gas, actually, so quite cheap compared to the normal. And with this acquisition of a 4th base for the Shambler, he can also obviously quite easily benefit from that. One thing I was thinking about is that it's kind of wacky that if you're at tier 2 and you didn't build a star pad and you want transports, you have to build a star pad even though you have starports. Like you could, like say you built starports like you're in the Shambler's position. Like he can't ferry units over here. He has to like manually build them all, right? So that's pretty wacky, but maybe it's fine. It's just like one of those things. It's probably because I'm like hard-coded to thinking of the starport as the source of the Trojan. Now, there was a Solarian somewhere. I don't know where it might have gone. Maybe I missed it dying, or maybe it's back home somewhere. Yeah, I think maybe it got picked off or something. Can't seem to see it. That Zealot's still in the top middle. Now here comes another fleet of Gorgons. There are, however, Atreus's. And of course there can be a response with the Cantavis to drop a Psystorm. Yeah, the zoning Psystorm. Now they only kill a couple of workers. They do kill the Atreus. Obviously he's right next to his Grand Library production. There's another one already done. So he can obviously go ahead and pump that. He has a lot of resources, but it looks like he was able to put away some of them. Not a whole lot of gas income, clearly. And just now setting this base back up. Because he doesn't have the, the embassy anymore, he actually can't go for the island base very easily. He could go for a Stride and Stratum to warp in, a Nexus over here with an Artisan. Maybe kind of surprising he hasn't done that yet, actually. But obviously he feels like he really needs his gas, right? He's instantly saturated the gases over in this section and doesn't really care as much about the minerals, clearly. Yeah, I don't know. The Sanctum of Sorrow is an interesting choice. He is going to go ahead and get an embassy again. He hasn't trained anything from the Sanctum of Sorrow just yet. But if people don't know, that's what trains Charlatans and Mind Tyrants. Mind Tyrants obviously need to... Shambler was saying that the Charlatan being only 25 gas cheaper than the Mind Tyrant seems significantly less impactful. I think it probably could use a slight reduction in cost, but it's also very, very powerful with the right composition. It's just... I think maybe people don't necessarily know how to use them just yet. And we were also thinking about revising a bunch of stuff anyway. So. Like one of the ideas we had was it instead of creating new units, it adds more projectile attacks. So, for example, if you had hallucinated these Gorgons, the Lanifex would be firing 2 attacks instead of 1, right? That would be one idea. So you get extra attacks onto those units from each combatant, and I guess it would be a time to debuff instead, right? Something like that could be neat. Basically doubling the, or increasing the weapon factor. It would be double if you only had 1 attack normally, which is what most units have. Now, this Air Force is indeed going to get lured around and pranked. Classic. But there is a Bioforce coming down over here, and there's only 4 Wardens to save it. Auroras are out as well. Not going to do too hot. And yes, indeed, there is a Charlatan. So we'll maybe see its current passive in action. I think the biggest problem with Brood War's pathing and not taking into account, a lot of units and stuff is, shit, you're not going to shred this line over here, unfortunately. Too many Madcaps. You need way more land effects than just 1, and you're not even going to keep it. But here comes the Psystorm, so that's good. Definitely going to be pretty useful there at cleaning up the bio. In fact, if he's not too careful with it, he might have just ended up losing him. No, he's able to keep distance, which is really nice. For him, of course, not for the Shambler. And so there you go. Missing that that one doesn't matter too much. No, oh. Could have stood his ground. Does have shield seal. So there you go. He has lost the base. And there's a million Gorgons coming over here, and it looks like one of these Empyreans may have died. Actually, I don't know. Would that be an Empyrean corpse? I think maybe the Empyrean corpse might be bigger, but maybe it is. Look at he's had so many resources, he instantly fills up on Auroras. All right, man. Whatever you say, man. All right, the Gorgon's going hunting again. Just 4 Wardens over here to defend this base. And obviously the Empyreans aren't too far away, but the Cantavises are. So it's a little bit difficult to storm this out. desperately hoping for me to implement the engram sooner rather than later, I think, but it's not going to be before this game ends, so. This guy's a charlatan, he's still just idling. Look at the money. Very, very spooky. We do have a lot of bases for both players, really. Now this one, you're getting chased off. A lot of the workers ended up dying, but still kept the worker on the aquifer, so there's that. And the Solarian actually is still alive and must have just been hovering over here someplace that I couldn't see, and does successfully zone off the rest of the Gorgons with the help of the Atreus. Here come the Valkyries, fucking a million of them, as well as more Gorgons. You can clearly see what the plan is here for Monsieur Shambler, who is doing his best to shamble his way with a bunch of air units. Don't worry. There's some crabs to defend the Solarian. As well as some Empyreans. Yeah, here come the Valkyries, though, are a little bit dangerous. Especially when you stack up like that. But it's also dangerous to stack up versus Empyreans and Atreuses. So I think actually he's going to lose a lot of these Valkyries. Of course, once the air units die, the Valkyries are no longer that useful to even focus. So instead it'll be the Gorgon time. Hey, there's an Empyrean. How quick is the reaction from the Valkyries? A little bit slow, and there's nothing escorting this, so it will have to turn and fight and do as much damage as it can, I think. He's got all the Auroras out, so you can definitely reinforce it with that. And also, crucially, intercept the... Well, that didn't work out too well. Aw, man. I was going to say intercept them, but of course they were stacked up, so they died instantaneously. Very, very rough. Yeah, fuck those air units. Dude, he got a Valkyrie. Not going to follow the target, obviously, so not good enough to kill the rest, but pretty solid. More Atreuses. I feel like this map is just not built for the version of the economy we have, and it being so large as well is just... It makes it... Like, the Shambler is definitely... I don't know what was going on there. The Shambler is definitely ahead, we can say. Jesus. The Shambler is ahead, but I don't know how easy it's going to be for him to close because he has to move all of his units around the whole map. And I think there's a reason we're seeing him go. He's at tier 3, he's getting guild halls, but there's a reason we see him going for the like air unit focused move is because it takes so long for ground units to take position. And maybe on a team game map or something that makes a bit more sense. But I feel like it's a bit audacious to have the bases so far away and all of that stuff. Like, it's kind of an interesting dynamic if you had the bases closer, maybe not that close, but closer to each other. Like, you know, if you connected this area and this is the start of the mains, so it was like in these spots or something, then suddenly you've got the rest of the map that you can contest and try to build and stuff. Actually, I mean, maybe this actually spawning spot would be fine. It takes a while, right? So anyway, I'm just thinking, like, then you have all this stuff in the back that you can choose to take. That could be an interesting dynamic, but it's probably something for another map. One thing that I have to commend the Shambler and Biddy B for doing is they just keep making maps. They keep making new maps. And that's probably good. Just abandon the old stuff that doesn't work out, like use the new stuff, especially since these guys maybe haven't done a lot of map making before they jumped into CMBW. Like, yeah, make a bunch of maps, learn from them, see what works and what doesn't, what's pleasant and what's not. And it looks like Mesk is going to try to take this base. That will be pleasant for him. He also has a marching set of 5 Atreuses, but they've narrowly missed this. It's just random units scattered around the whole map. The double bunker. The fact that he's got all of these units, the fact that he's got Olympians out, he's going to finally take this. At some point, he cleared out the Zealot. I missed the brave loss of that Zealot. And yeah, it looks like... You know, he could definitely be taking more bases, but it's just... It does maybe feel like a bit of a slog once you get to a point where, like, the map is so enormous, you still have to, like, march units around. It definitely increases defender's advantage, don't get me wrong. The Charlatan's still chilling. How's Mesk's saturation? It looks like he's resaturated this base. Well, he does have 2 workers here, I think. Yeah. But he's not really resaturated that. He rebuilt the embassy, but still didn't... He built the envoy and everything, but he's still not expanding to the bottom left. Now here comes the Uptecton, which is good. And here come the Valkyries, which are not going to do anything. They'll take some damage from Psystorm, I guess. I don't know what they're going to be focusing on right now. It looks like maybe they were trying to kill... Oh, okay, they picked off a couple of Cantabuses. That's pretty big. Unfortunately, yeah, 3 of them, actually. That's definitely pretty big. So, I think I'm actually going to switch over the Uptecton to Ally Safe for its primary gun, because it's kind of... Well, I don't have to do this, but I think it's kind of interesting if Terrans are the ones with all of the unsafe shit, like the Paladins, the Phalanxes, etc. Here come a bunch of Auroras, slowly tickling away the Sentinels. This actually isn't too terrible. I mean, Sentinels are obviously only minerals, but 225 minerals is, especially on a map like this where it's very, very low on the... Very, very low on the... Oh no, that's so painful. Low on the mineral count. You know, forcing to build more Sentinels is not bad. Now it's already tier 3. Now, Shambler prides himself on not ever building ion cannons. This is hilarious. Might want to lift off your starports, or maybe make the map have more stuff, more build space. Ooh, there's a big clump of them over there. The Psystorm does go down, but it's a little bit ineffective. Here come the flanking Gorgons, and I don't know what happened to the Uptecton. Did it already get sniped? Perhaps. Hard to say for sure. Another Aurora fleet comes over here to tickle the space. I think the biggest impact that the Auroras had was denying another expansion attempt. This is really funny. Atreus is returning home. You know, if I'm Mesk, I want to like protect this investment over here. But the problem is that this map is so open over in this location that you take this investment super far away from your base, and now you got nothing over here, right? So you can just walk right by. I mean, that's fine as a choice, but it feels like it's really difficult to make good decisions that don't have a million asterisks next to them because of the layout of the map. At the very least, ground armies can definitely be reposted relatively easily. There is a Paladin coming up for the artillery. Dude, it probably took 8 years for that to work. Honestly. Probably took a long time for the setup here, but it will indeed be another attack. Now, this one could be quite devastating, but we do have a lot of units over here, so I feel like it's probably not going to be too bad. It really depends on how Mesk takes the engagement. The Uptecton sniping out some of the units from afar is a really good move. Just to disrupt the way that this is set up, it can now come up onto the... it can defend itself against a single Gorgon, I think. That should be fine. Oh, he's not really focusing on the... Oh, he can't move. Well, that's funny. He's not quite focusing on the Paladin here, which is just kind of tickling. There you go. He's finally landing some shots. Ooh, narrowly avoids death. The Uptecton is definitely responsible for a lot of disrupting the attacks here. I can't believe it's still alive, honestly. Here comes an Atreus to tickle some more. Yeah, just keep kiting it out, dude. And now the Paladin is dead as well. Now, there are a bunch of Valkyries over here, so they can sit over here and watch the base and witness the fact that Mesk isn't mining over here. So that's funny. Who knows what the fuck is going on in these players' minds. He's finally lifted off to unlock more of his units. I'm just going to land them over here. That makes total sense to me, man. All right, the Uptecton versus Paladin thing was really funny. Definitely a highlight of the game so far is just the tickles. I couldn't quite tell if the Uptecton was like, because it was attacking the Gorgon, it was also like not attacking down here. I'm pretty sure we safeguarded against that in the code. So, fairly large force over here. Harass will start to repair itself as well, and just in time. Ah, Patriarchs leading the charge when they should be backline units. Love that. Very expensive loss. Honestly, if I'm in Mesk's shoes, I definitely am building a ton of Uptectons. Uptecton, Atreus, maybe even Dracodon, a little bit cheaper. And I'm thinking for that reason, you want something for the air units, like the Gorgons. But at the same time, I honestly don't know. I feel like Uptectons in enough number might be able to deal with the presence of the Gorgons specifically, until he gets heavier air units out. Because you have to remember each Uptecton can fire up to 4 shots. It might be 5. I'm pretty sure it has a max targets of 4. So that's like a pretty big deal, obviously, since each shot is 10 damage. So you actually only need like if you have 4 Uptectons, or 5 Uptectons, we'll say, you only need 3 volleys from each Uptecton to kill a Gorgon, and you can target up to like 4 at a time or something. So, you know, they're tanky enough that the Gorgons themselves aren't going to be doing all the damage. Another base being taken here, and the island finally being taken as well. I guess this puts us at what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases for the Shambler, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be 8 bases for Mask if he can get them operational, but he hasn't really saturated this base, and obviously it's going to be a little bit. So he's kind of behind economically right now, but that could be very different in a moment. It really depends on how this fight goes. What else is going on? His base up front is being reposted. His attack force now coming down to try to deal with the right. And it's okay if this base goes down because... What? GG? What the hell? I guess it's because he probably didn't feel like he could fight this, but that seems really weird. Like, obviously, he's got the Solarian, which is out of position, whatever, but he's got the big ground army. He can definitely deal with this. But I think maybe it's just an overwhelming number of attack angles or whatever for a small ground army. Like, if you get tempo in your position, this is kind of what I was talking about when I was talking about, like, Shambler putting down a bunker in the back line. It's like, you have to account for that. And it's like, you have to deal with the fact that, you know, there's all of these opportunities and angles into your base. So if you get tempo on your opponent, that can sometimes decide the game just by itself. So that's probably the biggest thing that map could improve upon. There's also like build space, mineral counts, etc. But, you know, we'll let Shambler decide if he wants to do that or if he wants to just move on to the next map, which is what I would personally recommend because there's only so much you can save a layout or edit a layout to be better or whatever before it should just be done over entirely. So that's my thinking. That's something that you can actually see just by how I approach my maps in general is like sometimes I just decide to replace them. The old ones go into the non-standard folder. So this was a very non-standard game on a very non-standard map. So I hope it was a non-standard cast over as well. And we'll be back with some 2v2s in the future. Peace.